Germany is currently reeling from a shocking incident, and it's hard to ignore the waves it's sending throughout Europe. In Dortmund, a shop became the site of a brutal crime when two young individuals stormed in with a machete and robbed the owner. The poor guy didn't just get hurt, he endured injuries that required hours of surgery, and it really could have turned fatal. Now, the police deserve some credit here. They acted quickly and managed to find the two suspects hiding out in an empty house. When they raided the place, they uncovered a machete, pepper spray, a firearm, stolen cash, and other items. According to reports from German media, these young criminals include a Syrian student and a guy with a German-Bulgarian background. But here's the twist that's causing quite the uproar across Germany. The prosecutor's office and youth services decided to release these suspects right back to their families. Just like that, they were let go. It honestly raises eyebrows, especially when you consider how serious the crime was. Now, shifting gears a bit, there's also a corruption scandal brewing in Brussels, a disease outbreak that could threaten billions in European exports, and fresh signals from Washington about an ongoing war in Europe. It all somehow ties together. Having spent years in a major media organization, I saw how news can get shaped and how sometimes the truth gets pushed aside. That's why I decided to go out on my own. I'm focused on uncovering what's actually happening, rather than reciting what someone else wants you to hear. If you appreciate this kind of no-nonsense journalism that doesn't cater to sponsors or big corporations, I'd love for you to hit that like button and subscribe to Signal Feed. We put in loads of hours verifying facts and checking sources because we're dedicated to providing you with real journalism. It takes a lot of effort and support, so thank you for being part of this journey. And stick around until the end because I've got an intriguing revelation coming up that you won't want to miss. You won't believe this, but at least one individual involved in this recent incident was already on the authorities' radar as a problem and possibly dangerous. It's pretty wild, right? This whole situation has sparked a massive buzz all over German media and social networks today, and it's easy to see why. It's not happening in isolation. It's happening at a time when the German government is making some eyebrow-raising financial moves. They just allocated 16 million euros straight from taxpayer funds to Sudan. The German Foreign Minister Jan Vadful announced this during a meeting with his Egyptian counterpart in Berlin. His reasoning? Necessary investments in humanity. His exact words, and of course in Germany's own interests. Now, I'm not here to debate whether helping displaced people is the right call or not, but the timing is definitely something to note. German citizens are watching violent crimes unfold in their cities, witnessing suspects getting released back into their communities, all while millions are flowing out to other countries. It's bound to have an impact on how people might vote. Speaking of voting, there's some pretty fascinating polling data that just came in. The gap between Friedrich Merz's CDU-CSU party and the Alternative for Germany, or AfD, has widened further. The CDU-CSU is now trailing behind the AfD by 2.5 percentage points, sitting at just 24.5%. They lost half a percentage point compared to last week, which is their second lowest result of the entire year. Meanwhile, the AfD is holding steady at 27%. And the other governing party, the Social Democrats, is also losing ground, dropping to 14.5%, down a full percentage point. If you put all that together, the ruling coalition's total support is just 39%, which is nowhere near a majority. You've got rising crime dominating the headlines, millions being sent abroad, and a government coalition losing support left and right. It's a perfect storm brewing. But let's pause that thought for a moment because there's another significant meeting that took place in Berlin, reflecting just how anxious Europe has become. Poland's prime minister met with German officials, and that's worth a mention too. In Berlin, the Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, is deep in discussions for the 17th German-Polish governmental consultations, and security is the hot topic on everyone's mind. It's obvious that Warsaw looks to Berlin as a vital security partner, but there's also a pesky issue that keeps popping up: distrust, primarily from Poland, and they aren't shy about it either. Donald Tusk, the leader of Poland, laid it all out during the meeting, mentioning ongoing disagreements between the two countries. But he balanced it out by emphasizing the strides made in German-Polish cooperation, especially around infrastructure investment, which Tusk pointed out as crucial for their shared security goals. He's talking about building better road connections and bridges over the Oder River to make sure NATO forces can act quickly if an invasion ever arises. That's their current mindset, preparing for an invasion. To respond swiftly, they need more robust infrastructure and communication links between Poland and Germany. So that's the proposal they're working on, trying to sort out various hurdles while putting security front and center as they gear up for whatever challenges may come their way. It's pretty wild to think about how leaders are seriously discussing invasion preparedness. But I guess we'll see how things unfold. Shifting gears, if you think German politics couldn't get any crazier, check this out. In Bavaria, the mayor of Nuremberg, Thomas Parter, who's only 38 and part of the Christian Social Union, recently made a rather unexpected return to his duties. Why is this noteworthy? Well, he just took a 4-week vacation after getting caught with some illegal substances at a nightclub in Munich. Quite the scandal, right? Now, the mayor has addressed his community, sharing that he used his time off to tackle personal issues with professional help at a specialized clinic and has come back stronger and ready to dive back into work. So there you have it. That's just how things can unfold sometimes. One can only hope he's learned his lesson and won't find himself in that kind of trouble again. He seems to have handled his crisis, but who knows what else could happen next. So let's dive into the chaos happening in Brussels because it's on a whole different level. There's a massive corruption scandal shaking things up in the European Union. And honestly, the media can't stop yelling about it. Federica Mogherini, who used to be in charge of EU diplomacy, has been arrested. Yep, she was taken into custody during police raids tied to a fraud investigation. Early this morning, Belgian authorities rounded her up along with 2 others after searching the offices of the European External Action Service, the College of Europe in Bruges, and several private homes. Now, it gets even more interesting because a representative from those services hasn't commented on whether any EU officials are among those arrested. But here's the kicker. These arrests happened right after their immunity was lifted, according to the European Public Prosecutor's Office. That alone suggests that those detained are not just your everyday officials. This scandal really shatters the illusion that top-level corruption in the European community is rare. It's sadly not, though they don't always throw everyone behind bars. So we're all just here, waiting to see what unfolds next. But hold on, Europe isn't just dealing with political messes. Spain is in a crisis of its own that could cost billions. They've had to call in the military to handle an outbreak of African swine fever near Barcelona, all to protect their multi-billion euro pork export industry. Officials think the disease might have spread after a wild boar chowed down on some contaminated food, maybe a sandwich that was tossed in the trash after being brought in from outside Spain. That's the story they're selling to the public. The Minister of Agriculture of Catalonia is saying it's most likely some cold cuts that ended up in a trash bin, making it all the way to a wild boar who then got infected. I'll leave it up to you to figure out how believable that wild boar and sandwich tale really is. In the meantime, the European Commission is urgently sending a team of veterinary experts to Catalonia, starting today to help tackle this unfortunate outbreak. Let's take a moment to focus on some major happenings today. First up, Spain is in the spotlight with the pork export situation. Did you know that Spain's pork exports reach nearly 9 billion euros? And a whopping 58% of that goes straight to the European Union. If anything goes awry here, it could spell trouble not just for Spain, but for food supply and trade all across the continent. So we'll definitely be keeping a close eye on how this unfolds. Now, putting aside Europe for a second, let's hop over to the United States, where there's some buzz around new messages from the Trump administration. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Light has expressed a rather hopeful outlook on peace talks for Ukraine, highlighting that American negotiators, including Donald Trump himself, have really put in the effort. Her announcement that they're optimistic about bringing an end to this prolonged conflict is significant. After all, this war has shaped European security for years. It'll be interesting to see if this optimism leads to any real change, but the public declarations do say a lot about the current momentum. Switching gears, the White House is also shifting its focus to the upcoming Christmas season. They've already started the decorations and shared some behind-the-scenes videos and photos. Melania Trump has introduced a festive theme titled, "Home is where the heart is." Imagine this, more than 50 Christmas trees, around 200 meters of garlands, and 55 kilograms of gingerbread dough just for decorating the presidential residence. The White House is emphasizing how, despite varying family traditions, all Americans share a love for good deeds and pride in their country. The theme pays homage to family values and also marks the 250th anniversary of U.S. independence. As things develop, I look forward to sharing what's most important with you. There's so much happening right now that has the potential to impact all of us. I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything going on. Until tomorrow, wishing you peaceful skies, and may the news always be good for you. Take care. If you appreciate getting verified information that's thoroughly checked and presented without any corporate biases, then go ahead and give that like button a tap. Also, subscribing to this channel doesn't cost you anything, but it signals to the algorithm that independent journalism like ours should reach a wider audience. Now let's talk about the reality of what we do here. It's definitely not a walk in the park. Each story you've just heard required me to invest hours into tracking down sources and verifying claims. I'm committed to making sure we're not contributing to the sea of misinformation that saturates social media every single day. Fake news is everywhere, crafted to provoke outrage and manipulate you into clicking more. That's exactly what we push back against. We engage in the tedious but vital work of fact-checking, poring over documents, and ensuring that the information I share with you is accurate. But let's be real, it's a time-consuming process that demands resources and, frankly, your support. If you can chip in to help sponsor this channel even just a little bit, you're directly backing a form of journalism that holds strong to its principles. You're investing in truth. So I kindly ask you to think about it, and whether or not you can sponsor us, just stick around until the end of this episode because what's coming up is something you definitely need to catch.